Hello, we're Meet. Today I want to discuss basically something I have made videos discussing this before, but going a little bit more in depth. That is the age of Wicca, because there's a lot of debate on this. And here's the thing. Let me just get that out of the way immediately. There is absolutely no archaeological proof or anything of the sort to indicate that the religion of Wicca, as practiced by Gardner, is any older than he is. So yeah, he did claim that he joined this coven that traced this root back thousands of years, but nobody ever found any evidence that this coven existed, so all you have is his word for it. And let's be frank, he do have a good motive to lie about it. And that motive is that he wanted the religion to take off. And a lot of people have a tendency to say, oh, it's a newly created religion, must be shit then. When it comes to magical systems, when it comes to spiritual systems and so on, people tend to take it more seriously if they can say that, oh no, but it's thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. So, by claiming that, he gave his religion a legitimacy that it didn't originally have. Now, of course, there's some people that's gonna say, well, but it's those that path that was that religion. It was secret, so of course you don't know anything about it. Yeah, but it would be odd if there was an organization that had so many practitioners that it would have survived for thousands of years. Because remember, that if there were just a couple of people at a time, it would be one plague or something like that, and that path would be gone. So it had to be quite a number of practitioners. And to have a path that's that big, that has that many followers, it would be very odd if there's no whatsoever archaeological evidence that they ever existed. So I believe that people that has spawned this, Margaret Murray, Garrett Gardner, and so on and so forth, that it's flights of fancy to make their path seem more legit. I mean, I know occultists that say, no, they will never read an occult book that's younger than 50 years old and so on and so forth. There is this idea in the community that old makes good. And I'm not dissing the fact that there's a lot of things that has become classics that has stood the test of time, and that they have been able to stand the test of time is a good indication of their quality. That, however, do not mean that you can't have quality that's just newly created. So, Wicca, as presented by Gardner, was probably developed in the 40s as he started to work on it, and then presented to the world in the 50s. While, of course, I can never say there's absolutely no chance what he claims is true, I would say it's pretty unlikely. So, is everything about Wicca new? No. Wicca draws inspiration from a lot of older faiths, like, for example, Greek and Roman paganism, the religion of Egypt, Celtic traditions, and also from Western ritual magic. Remember, Gardner were eager follower of Hermetic style ritual magic up until he decided to focus his efforts on witchcraft. So that's why you have a lot of the same tools in Wicca as you have in classical ceremonial magic, because Gardner brought it there. As such, Wicca has inherited a lot from these older paths, so it has roots in older systems, but Wicca as it is young. And I think that's something that's worth remembering when there are people that claim, oh no, but witches would never do harm because the threefold path says so, and that's been followed for thousands of years. No, it hasn't. It's a poem that was written 60, 70 years ago that just have become adopted by the religion of Wicca. There's been a lot of different witchcraft groups, witchcraft paths, and individuals practicing the art that never ever had any rules like that. All the various dogmas and ideas of Wicca are relatively new, though the spirituality have roots in older systems. I think another reason why a lot of people want to claim Wicca to be so and so old is that they want to be able to hit the table when Christians make fun of you and so on and so forth and said, yeah, but my religion is older. Yeah, but here's the thing. Answering people who criticize you and go into a my religion is better than your religion rant with exactly the same kind of bullshit, that isn't gonna help. It's not gonna solve anything. So, yeah. So, what is the age of Wicca? I would say Wicca in the shape and form it has today is 60, 70 years old. It depends. Perhaps as old as 80. It depends on how early Gardner began to practice it and began to develop it. Excuse me. Cat hair. How did that get into my mouth? There's cat hair everywhere. Anyway. But there are roots to Wicca that goes back thousands of years. But the paganism practiced in, for example, ancient Egypt or in ancient Rome were very, very, very different from the neo-paganism we have today. Now, there are pagans that try to recreate this, reconstructionists who try to practice the old religions as close as they can to how they were practiced in the cultures where they were developed. But neo-paganism generally is not doing that. So, yeah. Wicca is a system, it is a religion, it has its own ideas, its own dogma. So while it might use the same god names and same archetypes of gods, for example, that older civilizations do, and have some of the same holidays and so on, it doesn't mean it's the same religion, because the ideas behind it are very, very different. For example, let's take Old Norse. I think that a lot of people would have a problem with the ideals of Old Nordic religion. Among other things, they had the idea that if you're a man and you die from anything but combat, you go to their version of hell. Now, the Vikings didn't have exactly a hell as the Christians do, where souls are tormented forever. but they sort of just ended up in the storage because then Valhalla wouldn't want them. Old Viking society was also extremely homophobic, and they had this idea that it was extremely sinful for a man to be feminine. This to the point that magic was considered to be a female art, and as such, if a man were to practice magic, quite often his family would kill him, because he was considered to be unmanly. It was not considered a great sin for a woman to be manly. That was accepted, and you even had shield maidens who would go into battle with the men. It was in fact considered to be pretty positive for a woman to be manly. More cat hairs, wonderful. But basically femininity in males were not tolerated. So a lot of things within Old Norse religion that is not pretty. They did practice, among other things, on rare occasions, human sacrifice. So, yeah. And there's a lot of these things that, of course, are not practiced by Wiccans. We don't generally slaughter a bull at our holidays, and so on and so forth. But we draw ideas and concepts. You can say that in very many ways, Wicca is a hodgepodge religion. I know that there's quite a few Wiccans that will get very annoyed at me for saying that, but it's true, it's what it is. Basically, what Wicca has done is that it's what Garrett Gardner did, and what people that develop Wiccan paths today do, is that you take a little bit here, a little bit there, and a little bit there, you mix all that into a big pot, and use that. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's what it is, and that particular blend is not very old. And I don't think it needs to be. I'm not Wiccan, I'm a chaot that uses a neo-pagan paradigm quite often, but I'm interested in Wicca, and I don't see there's any problem with acknowledging that it's not a very old path. Because it doesn't need to be. What it needs to be is a quality path, and I think it is. It's a path that can lead to enlightenment for a lot of people, for those that it fit. But I think that those that claim that it's thousands of years old need to have a reality check. Yes, of course, it is conceivably possible, it's true, but there's nothing at all that indicates it. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Have a great day, and blessed be.